family, we are welcome to the Instagram live session with the Olabodes. And, if you can just enter into our belly now, you will see that there's a lot of excitement, right?
Yes, of course.
I really consider it a great privilege to be interacting with them. We've spoken several times, and I can't wait, for them to share, some of the amazing things, that they both used in the process of, identifying one another and, preparing for marriage. So that's what we'll be talking about today. All right, but before we go into that, we just like to quickly introduce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say my introduction.
All right. So, yeah. Who are we? This is Mr. and Mrs. V, and this is Love Umbrella Network. All right,
Yeah.
and this is actually a preparation for a bigger event that is taking place next week. But then, if you say preparation, you may be tempted to think that, okay, maybe I should just come next week. No, today there's going to be hot, information that will be released from the Olabodes. All right, so that's what today's event is all about. They'll be talking about what's the topic again? How to identify? No, not how to identify now. Before you say I do. Don't mind me. There are so many topics on my so many topics on my mind. Maybe some of them will come as questions. All right, so they are talking about before you say I do, and I believe they will be using their practical examples, right?
That's true, yeah.
I know Mr. Olabodes particularly has a lot of stories and examples, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to hear some of them. All right, so we quickly jump right into it. But if you are joining, please ensure that you get your questions ready. If there's anything they talk about that is not very clear, kindly note it down. There's a time that is coming that will take question and answers.
All right. And please tag your friends. Just tell your friends about it. Actually, we are Mr. and Mrs. V. For people you've invited, just let them know that the account has changed.
Yes.
So it's Mr. and Mrs. V. Reach out to them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So
what about a formal introduction of?
Yes, that's the next thing. So before we go to the questions, we like Mr. and Mrs. Olabode to introduce themselves to us. For those that are just meeting you for the first time, all right, we'd like you to just introduce yourself so that we get to know you more. So over to you, Sanma.
All right. Thank you so much, Sanma, for having us. I think that's you said that you are so excited to have us, but we are actually the ones that are excited to be here because we're grateful for the opportunity inviting us to this great platform that you have, by God's grace, put together. Is such a lovely experience for us, and we're just grateful. We obviously aren't coming as people who are experts in marriage. We are, by God's grace, learning as we journey along as well, and we're just hoping to share with everyone what we have learned and also what we are still learning. And we are also grateful for the family here. We are really just thrilled to be with you today, and we're hoping that by God's grace we have a good time together. So my name is Felix Olabode, and I'll just let her introduce herself.
Okay, my name is Sheon.
Yeah, Olabode.
Sorry, it's very important. Yes, my name is Sheon Olabode.
Well, sometimes you actually flip the name. I call Mr. Olaide Sheon, and I tend to do that. But then
it must be because we are now very. So yeah.
All right, family. Just like I say, all right, there'll be a lot, that we'll get to hear today. All right, and if you have notepads, if you have physical notepad, get them ready, and if it's digital, ensure that there's enough battery on your phone so that it don't turn off on you, right? Because we are going to get just so much today. All right, so we are jumping right into the discussion. Who is ready? Let me see in the chat box. Who is ready? I can see Addison. I know if I ask Addison if he's ready for marriage, you say no. Like the next 5 years, that he wants to finish his PhD. Who is ready? I can see Favor. Oh, Favor, your note is ready. Favor. Yeah. All right. Who else is ready? Addison, you are ready. Okay. All right. So we are getting to the first question, and it says, "What comes to your mind when you hear before I say I do?"
All right. Thank you. I'll go first on this one. And sometimes you just gloss over things without really thinking deeply about that. And I think this is a kind of phrase that many people have used. And then when we think about it, or when I think about it, I think, is it for people who are yet to even get into a relationship, or for those who are already in a relationship and are planning towards marriage? But then I think overall what comes to my mind is that it covers both. It covers those who are yet to even start a relationship, but then they have a hope that someday they will get married. And for also those people who are already in a relationship and are already planning towards marriage. So hopefully by God's grace, all of the things that we'll talk about today will go along those two things, those two categories of people.
Oh, that's powerful. I think Bezalel is trying to say something about that.
I can assure you he doesn't know anything about marriage yet.
Not yet.
All right, for those that are wondering that who is Bezalel, Bezalel is how old now? 1 year, right? Going to 1 year.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So Bezalel is the son of the Olabodes, and maybe we get to see his face before the discussion ends. All right. I don't know if Mr. Olabode wants to add something. Or maybe you translate what Bezalel was trying to add.
To be honest, I think that so Felix mentioned both things that were on my mind, and our goal really is to cover both. So both situations, just in case, whether a person is already in a relationship or already planning to get married, or if you're not yet in a relationship as well. So those are the two things that come to our minds. I don't know, is it the same thing that you also have in mind?
Oh, definitely, yes, it is. Right?
Yeah, of course. Like Mr. Felix said, the word I do, has become so common that people don't really, pause and think about it really. What's the what comes after the I do? What are the things involved? What do I need to put into it? It's not just about saying I do and I'll say, oh, now I've arrived. Yeah. Now I'm now someone's woman or I'm someone's man. People don't really know what is at stake, both positive, and negative, depending on what you put into the marriage. Yeah.
All right. So we're coming to the first question now. All right. And I know it may be the same for both of you, but I would appreciate if they are not actually the same for both of you. so that each gender will feel represented by the answer. So the question is, what are your top 3 questions to ask, or what are the top 3 questions to ask either yourself or the person that is coming into your life? All right, Mr. or Mrs. Wright. All right.
Even from your personal examples, where there are questions that were, for me, there were questions that were on my list. I was like, how was the person come? This one must be sorted. This one must be sorted.
All right. But we are bringing it down to 3, all right, because we are trying to help people to have them, they have them handy, so that we will not say 7 and they eventually cannot remember anyone. But 3 is something simple enough, and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is like 3, So, yes. So over to you, sir. Who's going first, man?
Yeah, I'll go. I want to start by saying the most important question is not to your partner or to you. It is actually to God. My experience is very funny. So before I met my wife, I had a previous relationship, and the person also had the name Sean. So I have this friend of mine that teases me and says, I heard correctly, I just did not see correctly. So to know that this is actually God's will for me, I think that was the first question. God, is this your will for me? And the reason for that is I think that it is a demonstration of humility to accept that I don't know the future from now. I don't know the end from the beginning. To accept that people change. And even if someone appears to be perfect now, circumstances can change people. People can also pretend. So, because even if I ask the person a question that I really want an answer to, they can tell me what I want to hear. So, to actually ask the one who knows every heart, to who knows every thought, I think that's the first question before anyone even starts to go to the point of asking their partner or whoever they are with the kind of questions they want to know. The question of, is God leading me into this, or I just feel that it should be the right thing. So even if in the future problems arise, as they will, because no marriage is perfect, we can then go back to God and say, this is not my doing. You help me into this, and I can trust you to lead me through. So I think that's the most important question to ask. I will let Sean talk about the next question.
Oh, that's amazing.
You must have guessed that we're doing this collectively. So I'm handling the next question because we want it to be practical.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first thing is, is God leading me into this? And then I think the second important thing would be, after settling, talking to God about it, you can then now start talking among yourselves. If you're already in a relationship or before you get into one, are we both sure of what we want in life? So as a personally, I need to know, what exactly do I want in life? Where do I see myself in the next 1 year, in the next 5 years? What are my career plans? What are my plans in terms of, having a family? Because I think that if personally, first of all, you don't know yourself, you will be confused. And if you are confused and you're going to be spending your whole life with someone else, you will end up confusing that person. And so personally, so that's why the question is, are we both sure of what we want in life? So it's first of all, personally, me knowing what do I want, and then the other person, does the person also know what he or she wants? Because the same thing would happen if that person is also not sure, has no direction, doesn't know what kind of job would I like to do, what kind of career would I like to pursue, do I want to go into ministry, do I not want to go into ministry? Of course things can change, so it's not like everything you say is exactly what will happen. But for us, just making it practical, so before we got married, while we were in a relationship, we both spoke about this, and we both knew that we wanted to do PhDs, for instance. So before we even got married, we had plans to do both our masters and our PhDs outside the country. And so because we had that in mind,
Oh,
it
sorry to
guided.
cut in. Sorry to cut in.
Sorry.
You mean you've been together since in Nigeria?
Yeah, we've been
Yes,
together
Oh,
for
for
about
like 10
10
years.
years.
what? Wow,
Wow,
amazing.
that's amazing.
All right, please
Yeah.
go.
So we've been together for about 10 years now. So we spoke about, all sorts of things, but I'm limiting this question to, what do we both want in life? So he, for instance, is a very, very, he was telling me exactly what he wanted. In fact, when he was in 200, was it 300 level? 200 level, he already knew the schools in the UK he wanted to apply to. So when he met me, he was telling me, I'm going to do my master's outside the country, I'm going to do a PhD. We've not yet gotten to some of the more futuristic plans. I don't know if I'm allowed to share or not, but he has futuristic plans that have not happened, and he has already told me. So I already know that in the next 10, 20, 30 years, I already have a picture of where he wants to be. And that's important, because if we're married, or if we're going to be living together, I would want to agree. Do I want to go on this kind of journey with you? And that's the same thing that will happen to me. I also need to be very clear with him. This is what I want. This is so personally. I'm ambitious in terms of my career, and it's important for him to know that. He knew that before as soon as he met me, before we got married. So he also asked himself, am I sure I can deal with this? Am I sure that this is something that would work for me? I think I'll stop there.
Yeah,
now.
thank you. Well done.
You're welcome.
Wow,
We're actually enjoying it. Thank you. Wow, that's really amazing.
That's profound. It's yes. First of all, on the first point about asking God, that the first question should be to God, because a lot of people nowadays now feel like bringing God into the picture is old school or archaic. But the truth is, God has the blueprint of your life, and He sees the bigger picture. And He sees who can walk with you. Yes, we can have plans, and the truth is, even if we have plans, even regarding purpose, regarding what Mrs. Shem said, you can't see it all at once. It's step upon steps, precept upon precept. And God alone sees it all at once.
Bigger picture.
He sees the bigger picture, and He knows who can walk with you. So I think it's really, really profound what you said about asking God first. He's our friend, we have the Spirit of God in us, and He knows who can walk with us.
I'm learning,
Yes.
All right, so for those that are just joining us, this is Instagram live session with the Olabodes. All right, they are currently located in the UK, and this is hosted by Love Umbrella Network. And shout out to the Love Umbrella team, of which we are also part, that puts this together. All right. We are just here representing them. They are doing amazing work behind the scene. And all right. So we are going to the next question. But I think that's two, right? They're supposed to be.
I was just going to say, we've not said the third one.
Yeah,
all right.
the third
one. All right, apologies.
So we're just going to talk about this together because, to make it equal, if you see. I think the third thing, again, these are not absolutes. Like the first one, I think, is an absolute thing to do. But these are the things that we rate higher than others. And it is the question of what kind of marriage do I want? And someone may say, every Christian should want the same kind of marriage, but that's not true. Some people, for instance, in their marriage, they want a little bit different kind of handling of, for instance, finances. They want my money to be my money, or our money to be our money. And if we have a project, we bring something together. Some other people, they want everything mixed together. You want to ask yourself, what am I able to be here? And there is absolutely nothing wrong in either approaches. It's just what is going to work for me. It's not just about money. Also, this is where you want to ask questions about how many children do you want? So if a man, for instance, wants 10, and the woman thinks, I can only bear 2, I can only undo 2. If you don't ask that question, then you enter into the marriage with a lot of conflicts to resolve. Another question, and this one is really practical for us, is how do we want to resolve our conflicts? It is wise to assume that you will fight. Maybe not physical fights, but you have disagreements. And for us, our resolution was there won't be any disagreement that lasts beyond the day, in terms of we won't go to bed harboring differences that we've not spoken about. So that we started from even before we got married, and we kept, if no matter how difficult it was to talk about something, we still found a way to talk about it. And another thing is, how do you want to worship God? So a very practical example, when I met her, she was very she was a very active person, let's put it that way. So she was the kind of person who went to dances. She was very good with dancing and all of that. And I was attending a church where you just lift up your hands and you worship. There was no dance, nothing like that. In fact, the church, we didn't even clap. We just held our hands up and all. And we were having a discussion of, okay, so how do we resolve this if we attend the same church? Because we just couldn't see how, for instance, for her, it was very strange. For me, it was quite normal. So this kind of conversation, and I think another one is ministry. If you're going into ministry, I mentioned that I was in a previous relationship and the person wasn't comfortable with too many people being around, no privacy and all of that. But if you're going to serve God, especially in any leadership role, you probably need to know that you have people around you. And are you going to be comfortable with that? So those kind of things we had conversation about. So for her, she got to a point where my friends, in terms of those who I had oversight, people who I kind of maybe led to Christ or had conversations with around Christianity, she got comfortable with them, and I also with the people that she discipled. So for her, she's into children ministry. I am not gifted in that regard, but I understand how to support her, how to help her to achieve what God has called her to do. And also,
don't say everything. Come on.
It's true.
He's going to say everything I want to say.
No.
Yeah, you put
practical examples.
Yeah, practical example. Yeah, I think I'm going to let her say the next one, but I was just going to say that's also, if you want a kind of marriage where you obviously pray and you study, you cannot leave that to you get married and say when we marry we'll start that. So I think we'll talk about that in the next question, but I'll let her continue. So
just picking up on that, to be fair, I was just teasing, even though I was serious in teasing and serious. So before we got married, we had a day of the week where we picked that we're going to fast. And actually, we still do that now. So one day of the week we fast. Before we got married, after work, we'll then pray. And we had like a Bible study plan that we followed. We still follow a Bible study plan now, but we follow it with our friends. So we do that with our friends. But before we got married, it was just the two of us. And I think in terms of what kind of marriage you want to have, some people, for instance, are comfortable with living in different cities or different places. And it's something to talk about because you might want it, but the other person might not. And it's just important to have that kind of agreement. I think something that he's not mentioned is that even in thinking about these things, if you're already in a relationship, it can be helpful to try things out and see how they work. So if, for instance, in finances, you think that you both want joint finances and you try like a mini project or something that, I think we were saying that if there's money set aside for a project and someone uses it to go shopping, you might realize that even though I can, this might not work, quote and unquote. So, and just as he said, there's no one size fits all. Like, different people have different marriages that are godly, Christian marriages, but they're just different approaches because we're all different. I might be willing to say I want to have 2 children. Some other people might say it's just one they want,
or not.
Some people, in fact, I don't know why we did even say that. Some people may not even want to have children because we know some couples. Yes, we know some couples who actually do not want to have children, and both of them agreed. So you need to, I think that these are things that need to be spoken about or discussed, because you don't just assume that because I'm getting married to, let's say, a Nigerian or somebody from a particular tribe, I am sure that the person wants to have children.
It was 7.
Do you get, like, what if because for instance, a lady can say, it's my body, I'm the one that's going to carry the child. If I say that I'm not willing to do that, you can't force me, and I don't want to go into that, but you get what I mean.
She should give us her wombs now.
So just no assumptions, really.
No
to just
assumptions.
talk about everything, ask questions, whatever question comes to your mind, as long as they are reasonable. Actually, every question is reasonable. Ask stupid questions as well and see how the person reacts to them.
Yeah.
So, because whether you like it or not, at some point you will ask stupid questions, and you need to know that the person you're with will not just throw tantrums because you ask a question they don't like. Yeah.
Wow. So I would just like to summarize what you have mentioned now, which I believe is important. All right. About three top questions to ask, and I like the way you address them because they are not like specific, they are generic, such that they are applicable to different contexts.
Yeah.
Right. So the first question is towards God, asking if indeed this is leading you to this person, right? And one of the ways you know that is by peace, all right? Because once you give God the permission to control your heart, it will either increase the attraction you have for that person with peace and wisdom, all right? Then the second question was about the future now, right?
Purpose.
Yeah, the
What
future
you
and the
want in
purpose.
life? Yeah.
Yes. So the first is to God. The second is about your future and purpose. The future, what does the future look like? And the third question is about the marriage itself. What kind of marriage do you actually want? So there are several questions on that. All right. So we can go over to the next one, right?
Yes, please.
So to the next thing now, which are now three things again. All right, I think Mrs. Hill touched on one of them slightly when she talked about actually practicing accounts and all that.
Yeah.
All right, but I must also add, because someone may want to take that off grid. Okay, we can start practicing things like practice. Understand that there are boundaries, of course. I believe maybe we also
Yes.
talk about that.
Yes.
All right. So what are your top three things that you recommend for people that are now waiting to do while waiting? All right. Now, there's also a burden in our heart and in the heart of some friends, family, and all that. Just in our heart, also for people that are waiting, for Mr. or Mrs. Right. All right. So I hope and I believe and I trust God that from this answer, all right, different categories of persons will be able to receive wisdom, on specific things in their context to do, that we make the period of waiting shorter, not burdensome, not boring, so that they'll be desperate, all right, but at the same time, purposeful and short, as short as possible.
Thank you very much. I think I'll start by saying that marriages are beautiful. There are good marriages out there. You may have seen that some marriages did not work, but it doesn't mean that all marriages don't work. In fact, I saw someone post recently that marriages don't work. I wanted to engage, but I felt restrained too, so I kept back. It's also good to know that while you're waiting, you are complete in Christ. You don't need a man or a woman to be who God wants you to be. The most important person that lived did not marry. That's Jesus Christ. Paul, another very good teacher about marriage, there was no account of his own marriage. So whichever way you are now, God loves you and nothing is wrong with you. However, if you do choose to marry, while you're preparing, whether you have someone already or you don't, there are things that you can do to help. I think I heard Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo say that he asked the question that what are his chances of playing good music with the guitar? And he said his church member would tell him it's zero because he has not trained to do that. So marriage is also similar, like he said, that you need to prepare, you need to learn some things. It's either you learn them now or you learn them in the marriage. But unfortunately, sometimes it's really too late when you are ready in that marriage to start to learn certain things, because it's hard to leave a marriage, apart from the fact that God really says that he hates divorce. The fact is that even if you don't see it as a problem, it's never really the same, and it's good to prepare before that time, so that to a large extent, have a relatively itch-free marriage. So I think the first thing is still prayer, and whether you're in a relationship or not, prayer is very important. Praying about that future marriage. And for us, when we got together, like we said, we prayed every week about the marriage. Something that we prayed about, definitely we prayed about children. We knew the number of children we wanted to have, and we prayed about that. We prayed about our aspirations as well. What else did we pray about?
I think it was those, maybe family.
Yeah, we prayed about people that we are responsible for together. And yeah, I think generally for family, for influences, really in marriage, that's really a big deal. We also prayed for what God was going to use us to do in His kingdom as He builds His kingdom. So we prayed about that. So obviously, fasting, praying, those can never go out of fashion, no matter what is told. You need to obviously rely on God, because like we said, you don't know the future, and you cannot start to act like you do, because that is pride.
Wow. Profound.
So in addition to that, and this relates to some of the questions that we spoke about earlier, I think in terms of developing yourself towards the person you want to be. So if I think marriage takes a lot of commitment and a lot of effort, and in developing yourself, you're not just quote and unquote developing yourself, you're also going to be contributing your own quota, as it were, towards the success of the marriage. So I think, especially if you don't know what you want, because we've said that one of the questions to ask is, do we both know what we want in terms of our purpose? So if it's something that it's not yet figured out, I mean, you're not quite sure of what career path you want to go to, you're not quite sure if you'd want to be in ministry, you're not quite sure of, you know, what kind of skills you might need, maybe future studies. I think it's important to know yourself and have a plan for yourself generally, and just developing yourself and understanding yourself, because understanding yourself will then help the other person understand you, and it also goes for the person as well. So I'll say yeah.
So I'll also speak in terms of development, that you want to be valuable, you want to have self-worth, you don't want another person to see you as a liability. And if even people with good intentions, they can sense weakness and use it against you. And if you already feel inadequate, even if the person doesn't know that that's what they are doing, there's a chance that they don't treat you well, because you yourself, you are not treating yourself well. So to be in that position where you feel adequate in terms of your own capacity and ability is very important while you're waiting. So if it is profession that you're in, you want to be top, you want to be sure that you are competent, and that when you speak about the things that you do, you're speaking from the place of knowledge. And so you don't want to go into marriage not being sure of yourself. You want to have that confidence in yourself that you know what you're doing. And to get that confidence, there's a need for practice, there's a need for training, there's a need for also the right network, actually relating with people in your field who know what they are doing. That will really go a long way in helping you.
Yeah, and I think that also relates to finances as well, such that regardless of whatever plan you have, each person is doing something that can generate income. I think that's quite important, and it is just closely aligned to developing yourself. If you develop yourself in terms of your career, it means that you can earn a living on your own. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think the last thing we'll talk about on the things that you should do, even though there are many things that people can do, we think that it is very important to speak to people, to have counsel. And what we're doing today is that kind of thing, where your counsel is basically advice. You want to get the right advice before you go into marriage. Some people have done a kind of secret wedding that nobody knows about, and it's usually a recipe for disaster, because the people who the other person should probably be accountable to, and you as well, you've kind of sidelined them. So when trouble comes, like they will, you cannot, there's no one to speak to. Yeah, there's no one to. So when people also know that they are not accountable to other people, they misbehave generally. And it's the reason why people have line manager at work, because someone needs to be able to say, what are you doing? And I think that having counsel, especially spiritual counsel, is very important while you wait. Yeah.
Yeah, just to speak on that, there's something that has actually been mind-boggling, because people have past experiences. Just feel, I know this, I know that, our marriage is not working, or even, yes, she pretends like her marriage is perfect. But when you look carefully, you see that it's just a pretense, and then comes out to be a counselor. You get what I'm trying to say? Because the internet has portrayed, there are so many people that say, oh, they are counselors, but at the end of the day, when you get to see some results, you be like, how is this person a counselor? And it has actually, it has affected the mindset of people. I know of people that I've met, and they'll be like, no, they are not interested in all those things, that everybody has problems in their marriage, that they will deal with their problem themselves. So how do we get to minister to people like that, such that that's
People that have been disappointed by teachers.
Yeah.
People they hold in high esteem as as models. But those ones have modeled the wrong thing. Now they don't even want to be influenced.
And this is not even specific to marriages alone. I've had a chance to speak with people this week who said that they used to be in Nigeria and they stopped going to the church because they just felt that the church was exploiting them. And now they've come to the UK and they now feel like this is another opportunity to try again. But I'm just imagining, what if they never left Nigeria? So would they never go to the church again? And the question, it's not, this is not to judge them. But my point is that as for us, there's really little we can do apart from prayers, because you cannot tell an adult what to do with their lives. If they say that they've been disappointed and they don't want counsel anymore, you can only pray for them, for God to heal whatever wound it is that they carry, so that they can come to the place of actually speaking to someone to help them, because we all need counsels. Even the counselor needs counsel at some point, really. So yeah, so counsel is basically wisdom from someone who knows something that you don't know. And I think, except your God, you cannot say that you don't need counsel. That's just the truth. Yeah.
Wow. And the Bible verse that says that there's wisdom in the multitude of counselors.
Yeah, that scripture is better rendered as there is wisdom in multitude of counseling. So again, this is one thing that people do, is they have counselors all over the place, and then they get conflicting advice. The point is to actually, if you find someone that God is leading you to, who is your counselor, to actually not just take one counsel in a year and think that that's sufficient. Multitude of that event of counseling, that is where the wisdom stream from. So yes, that's what the scripture says. Yeah.
Wow, that's profound. All right, so again, I would like to just do a summary of what Mr. and Mrs. Olabodes has mentioned. They were talking about things to do while waiting. All right, and the first thing they mentioned is, for them, the prayer and fasting comes first. During that time is a time, you want to build up your capacity to pray for yourself and to pray for even people around you. All right, okay, now I'm adding Jara, I'm adding extra to it. All right, there's this philosophy that when you're in need of something, all right, as you help people that are in need of those things get what they need, before you know what's happening, you get what you need faster. Zig Ziglar calls it, he says, if you help as many people get what they need, then you yourself will get what you need. All right, so you can pray, you can intercede for people that are probably waiting on God for that particular thing, maybe waiting to get married. And life is just so beautiful because it will always arrange you around people that need what you need. All right. Then, sorry, still adding one more thing to it. Also, when you see people that get answers to their prayers that you need, you rejoice with them, and not say that, okay, when my own come, we all rejoice together. All right. And the second thing they mentioned, which I think is also profound, is preparing yourself for purpose. That you prepare yourself for purpose. It's important. All right. The third thing is, okay, under preparing yourself for purpose also includes professional competence. If you are dreaming to get married, or if you desire to get married to, to the CEO of a big organization, of a world-class organization, for instance, you have to know that that is very demanding. To actually sit in that position, that will be a lot of project management. So you want to ask yourself, do you have that, the necessary skills? All right. Are you IT compliant? So if not, then just start developing yourself. In fact, there's nothing one can do now that, that certain skills like IT, professional development won't can, even if it's ministry, right? Because here we have on social media, and the game is constantly changing. So you want to also professionally develop yourself, all right, while waiting. And the last one, okay, I'm not sure, is that the last one? I know Mrs. Olabode also mentioned about self-support, which I think is also profound, right? Self-support, being able to, to fend for yourself and not be waiting for that person, that you shift all the responsibility for the list of the things that the guy will take care. My hair,
Or lady.
Or lady,
Or
yes.
lady will take care.
Yes, because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
that as well. It's true.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks for that, but it's not very common,
It is. You'll be surprised, especially where we live. It is a very common thing that ladies who have come to this country to find a job, they then probably bring someone from Nigeria who they are marrying, and then that person just enjoys life without really doing much. So it is common, yeah. Let's just say it's both ways.
Yes, I think
men sometimes can exploit women,
Yes.
and women sometimes exploit men as well.
Wow. So those are some of the things that we need to do. But thank you for also adding that. I believe that we have gotten informed, inspired, and also prepared for that stage of life, and also to help people that probably are in also that stage and probably need counseling, because God will also bring people that we can share and inspire around us. So before we go to the question about you just showing us your notepad for our oncoming events next week. All right, I want us to drop. We just be able to take just 2 questions. So if there's anyone that has 2 questions about before you say I do, maybe you are at the verge of saying I do, and this event is coming up.
Yeah.
All right, maybe as a lady, your friends told you that this guy is going to propose at maybe tomorrow, or
and there's a question on your mind. Should I say yes or not?
Yes. So you may want to probably drop your question. Or as a guy, if you are at the verge of proposing and you feel there's something that they have not addressed, all right, you can drop that. We just take 2 because of our time.
In the meantime, please, we like to mention that there is an upcoming event next week, and it's going to be a great one. We'll be having the Olabodes. You have a taste. Is there was like a foretaste?
Yeah.
Yes. You've had a foretaste of what next week will be like, and it's going to be profound. Please do well to register. Before this meeting end, we'll probably share, and you can follow us on Instagram. You'll find all the information there. Yeah, we are still waiting for questions.
Yeah, and the title of what they will be talking. Okay, I think you do that yourself. All right. So while waiting for the question, if you don't get any question before they finish, that means probably you ask them the question in the main event. In the main event next week, there will be a breakout room where singles will be together with the Olabodes. Then the married folks will be together with Pastor Perry Akon actually it's going to be hot. I mean hot. If we are breaking out and married people are separated, like to be in their room, it will be hot. In fact, the things that I'm not even sure we can live stream them because they'll be very, very hot. Very hot. Trust me. All right, so now we are handing over to the Olabodes to let us just know what we should expect next week.
All right, thank you, San. As next week we'll be talking about the sacrifices and the sweetness of marriage, and it's
For singles.
well, we will have a joint session anyway, and also obviously because we are going to be having our special time with the singles, we will probably be able to elaborate on some of the things that we've also spoken about today. But definitely marriage is sweet, and there are sacrifices to be made. There are no exactly the same, there are two people that are exactly the same, so that already means that sacrifices need to be made. There's a chance that people who prepare and sacrifice in marriage don't get good marriages, and that's the reason why we trust God to help us. But there's no chance that two people who neglect their marriage will have a good marriage. It's not possible, because it is hard work, and that work needs to be done for any marriage to work. It's just like going to work and just sitting all through and expecting that you will have results. It's not possible. So every day, you have to, in marriage, you need to wake up renewing your commitment. Marriage is like when you get a very expensive wristwatch for a child or a young person. The first day seems to be the most important day for that wristwatch. They are all over it. The next day it feels a little bit less interesting, and that is why every day we need to approach marriage as this is the first day, and there are sacrifices to be made again today. There are things to be done to make this marriage work. Marriages don't work by chance. They work by design and by efforts, by sacrifices
Of two people. Not just one person.
Yeah. So we'll be looking into that. And yes, the sweetness part. I think I've talked a lot about sacrifice. So would you like to hear the sweetness of marriage?
I know women like the sweetness part.
It's good. I don't mind.
I think that if two people come together and if two people are willing to put in their best in the marriage, all things being equal, by God's grace, there'll be a lot of fun, a lot of things to enjoy. It just feels like you are with, let's say, your best friend and you're doing life together. However, even though this might be part of the sacrifices, I'm sorry, I'm going back to sacrifices, there's a need for the two people to actually form a very strong bond, especially because of other influences that may come from work, from friends, from family. But generally, marriage is good, it is enjoyable, it is beautiful when you are with someone who also has the same goal with you and you're both working together to meet that goal.
And to buttress that point on influences, even though we usually think about the pressures as coming from outsiders and all, circumstances can also bring pressure. We've had our own fair share of troubles in life, and it's really important to be with someone that you can count as your best friend when life happens, so that really in that situation you see yourselves as a team fighting against all of these pressures rather than two people fighting on different fronts. So a sacrifice, for instance, would be to be able to come to a point where you see yourself as a team rather than people competing against themselves.
We'll touch more on that next week.
Yeah.
So that we don't do the session. We don't
now.
Do the session now.
Wow. You see, I'm just saying wow. All right. For those that are probably just joining, all right, we are coming to the end in just in a moment. If there's anyone that has any question, you can still drop it in the next few seconds. All right. Yeah. But what they have just spoken about understanding the sacrifice and the sweetness of marriage, I think it is very important, most especially for people that came from homes where love was not expressed. All right, from homes where love is not expressed, and in this age, that is is just so common. You can practically say that for every 10 people, young persons that you pick, maybe just 2 out of them came from a family where the parents, kiss and say "I love you," all right, where the parents demonstrate sacrifice, demonstrate sweetness, that the young children are looking forward to marriage. In fact, if we get 2 out of every 10 randomly, that would be a miracle. All right, but so I believe that for everyone that actually desires to know more about marriage, to understand what if it's really what looking forward to, all right, it's important we be a part of this, all right, and it's also important we also join in the movement, all right, of spreading this word across to our friends and our community, both married and singles. In the married part, unfortunately, we won't be able to talk about what the married guys will talk about, but I will just say the title alone. The title of the married guys is understanding. No, the thing now is rekindling the fire of romance in marriage, and the speaker will be addressing that. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be profound. You don't want to miss
Balancing
it.
romance and
Vision in the family, in the marriage. All right. So I don't know if the Olabodes. I know LGN team, we're supposed to have someone come up. Are we still doing that?
I will be exhausted that time.
All right. So sorry,
if it's
Fanuel.
possible, we can. Yes, that's true.
Fanuel, if we are still coming up, or if someone is still coming up, you can probably place a call now. And but our time is fast spent. I don't know if you have any final words.
Yeah.
Any final words for
Yes,
people?
I think I just want to say a word to those who may have come from homes where not just love was not displayed, but maybe where they really did not enjoy being in that home as children, that God's healing is true and it exists. And if you're not yet married, one of the things that you can also do is to seek healing before going into marriage. And your own marriage can be much better than what you have experienced by God's grace.
And even if you are married already,
Yes.
and you've come from a home where things did not just work out, God can still help to heal. God can still definitely heal you and also make your marriage good. Yeah.
All right. Wow. Yeah. So before we just say final see you in sparkles of love. All right. I would like people that are connected to just tell us, just type where you're connecting from. I know we probably have a lot of people connecting from Chongguo, China. All right, but but let's just drop where you're connecting from. Just drop where you're connecting from. All right. Someone is saying Godwin. Is that where you're connecting from?
For those that are just joining us, please, if you would like to see this video again and watch this video, do well to follow us on YouTube. It will probably be on YouTube.
Oh, I'm excited right now.
Yeah, Ilo.
Ilo, oh my God.
That's our friend.
Ilo is our friend from Huddersfield.
A very good friend.
Oh, hi, Ilo. Glad to connect with you.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. All right. Fanuel, if you are there, you can also turn on.
Oh, that's my brother.
Oh, yeah. Is Emmanuel here?
My brother is here.
Emmanuel.
Mr. Emmanuel, greetings.
That
feels a little strange.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks, Ilo. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ilo. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Wow.
Thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Olabodes.
This is our brother in Lagos, Olabodes.
That's a very special name. Thank you, sir. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Ilo. Amen. We will see you next week.
Yes.
Same time next week.
All right, Mr. Fanuel.
Yes, sir.
Please, let's see your face. If you don't mind. Or I said, okay, all right.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Well, I would love to introduce you. All right. Fanuel is representing an amazing set of LUN family team. All right. And Fanuel here is when I want to start talking about Fano, I get so emotional. So I don't want to get emotional. So Fano, just go.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. V. Wonderful evening to everyone who is with us on the live tonight. Well, my name is Fano, like Mr. V has said, and I am from Zimbabwe, and I am a proud member of the Love Umbrella Network. But I should mention that today, even though I am a member of the team, I actually felt like a guest because the Olabodes were delivering so much knowledge to us, knowledge that I actually didn't expect. And a lot has been said about what touched me the most was that the person I should be asking is not my partner or myself, but actually God that sees what's in all the hearts. That was very powerful, and I want to thank you for that. And I'm sure I'm doing this on behalf of everyone, the Love Umbrella Network team, and also the guests that were there on the live. So I'm actually expecting more, and more on the sweetness as well. The sweetness that has been mentioned about the main event, and more about the time that we're going to separate from married couples and to singles. So yeah, that's I'm expecting a lot. It's just that we've run out of time, but I was actually wishing that why don't we just do the main event tonight? Like, what are we waiting for? So yeah, I won't take much of your time tonight. Thank you so much to the
Thank you so much,
broadcast.
Mr. Fano.
That's all. Yeah, sure.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, so we'll be drawing the curtain here tonight. Thank you, Mr. Fano, once again. Thank you, LUN team.
Thank you to the Olabodes.
Thank
We
you to the
love
Olabodes. We love you so
you.
much. And thank you to
Thank you.
Bezalel. That's
Having
as
us.
a very
Say hi.
Hi, Bezalel.
Hi.
Wow.
Well, thank you for being so supportive. You know, I'm
It's
sure
We are so
he
proud
loves,
of
yeah,
you.
it's amazing.
It's
he
amazing
loves
how you
LUN,
have kept
and that's
quiet.
what I'm telling you.
Wow.
Thank you for being supportive, and thank you to all our family and friends that have been supporting this Instagram live and the main event. We encourage you to spread the word. All right, and please follow Love Umbrella Network and Mr. and Mrs. V. All right, we are going to see more information about the event there. If you want to probably join the WhatsApp group of Love Umbrella Network, you can send a private personal message to Love Umbrella Network or Mr. and Mrs. V. We do well to have you either on WeChat or on WhatsApp. All right, more information on Instagram. More information would be shared on those platforms as well.
Please do well to follow us, visit our YouTube page. This video will be there.
And please follow the Olabodes. Please.
Yes.
If you are not following, please, everyone here, please go and follow them. There's so much, I believe there's so much that we're still going to be getting from them. Yeah. All right, even after now, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so family, we are drawing the curtain here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so
you.
much. Bye.
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 Bye. You want to say bye? Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
See you on Saturday next week.
Yes, see you on Saturday.
Bye.
Bye, Sama.
Bye.